not in our training camp. We saw him, he come about in, I believe, the last week of while we was winding down, but I saw him on the morning of the fight in the hotel room. Onto the fight, during the round, Billy Joe got injured. I briefed my corner team that Billy's eyes are injured, and I've got a towel for one of them in case I needed it. As Billy Joe walked towards me, as he walked towards me at the end of the round, I looked directly in his eyes. We had a little bit of dialogue, only a little bit of dialogue, but it was between us. He sits down. As he sits down in the corner, Ben Davidson got control and blew down his ear up. I let him have his 20 seconds because I knew what I was about to do on the state of the eye. So as he sat down, I had some more dialogue with Billy Joe, and that's private. And then I turned around and I waved the fight off as Billy Joe's trainer and head coach. It's as simple as that. I can't get any clearer than that. Now, Billy Joe needed looking after, and it was my job to do that. And listen, great fighters have done what Billy Joe Saunders has done, and been in that position he's been in, and they come again. Now, listen, I don't know what all the fuss is about, so I thought I'd get that off my chest because I keep getting phone calls, emails, and whatnot, and that's as plain and simple as it is, and it can be, and that's what happened.
Those are the words of Mark Tibbs. And Mark Tibbs breaks silence. As you guys heard him, he said that, Ben Davidson was not in his corner, even though he was coming out with them as though he was in the corner. So I don't understand the relevance of him saying he wasn't. Maybe he meant to say that he wasn't originally. But I seen Ben Davidson. I seen Mark Tibbs. I seen Tyson Fury. All those guys came out. Tyson Fury was in the crowd, but Ben Davidson was in the corner. So I had to counterpunch that real quick. But, Mark Tibbs seems like he's kind of pissed off, right? Seems like he's aggravated, pissed off. And it's directed towards Ben Davidson. And he said he let Ben Davidson have his 20 seconds or whatever. But the problem with this whole thing is, Ben Davidson said what he said. And this is what he said. He told Billy Joe, like, hey, you'll get another shot. You belong on this level. I remember what Ben Davidson said. And he said he didn't want to stop the fight. He told Ben Davidson then. That's what Ben Davidson said. Now, a lot of people looked at that as damage control because Mark Tibbs' original interviews, not just interview with IFL, Seconds Out, Beyond the Gloves, all these, they were wiped out. Okay, so MT Global must have came in and said, hey, you don't want to say these type of things since these are outlets that can get back to the British media. They didn't want those broadcasted like that, even though people already heard it because it was live. Okay, we seen this stuff live when it happened. As it unfolded, we've seen and heard Mark Tibbs say, well, Billy Joe did not give me the reaction that I wanted, so I stopped it. Okay, see, the difference between that, the response versus the appearance, just two different things. See, a lot of people think, well, what are you getting at? I'm getting at this. Mark Tibbs said he didn't get the response that he wanted. That video was wiped, or videos were wiped out. Okay, obviously, that wasn't a good response from Mark Tibbs, saying that he didn't get a good response or the response he wanted from Billy Joe. Therefore, he stopped the fight. Okay, and then Ben Davidson came in and said, no, well, Billy Joe didn't stop it. He didn't stop it. Okay, I told him and said, hey, you're getting another shot. You're getting another shot. And I think what Mark Tibbs, you'll fight another day. That's what Ben says. And I think Mark Tibbs' problem was Ben Davidson came out saying that, had no reason or no authority to say that because he wasn't he wasn't the head coach. He didn't make the decision for anybody. So what he was saying didn't really hold weight. But the problem is, Mark Tibbs is still not saying what they spoke about. Okay, and then because he's not saying that, that really brings up a lot of mischief and a lot of wonder, like, yo, well, what did you talk about? What did Billy Joe say to you versus what did you say to Billy Joe? Because then that's who will know who stopped the fight, you or him. Because it seems like he's taking the blame for it primarily. But he never said that Billy Joe didn't want it to do whatever. But see, the problem with this is, people, is the standard protocol of how things work. The head coach could call it, but that's the only way he could call it. He could throw in the towel. Okay? He consulted with Billy Joe. And then what he doesn't want to tell people is that Billy Joe told him, yo, I want to quit. That's the problem. Okay? Now, Ben Davidson is trying to cover that up. And Mark Tibbs is on a power trip, I think. Like, no, he didn't have any authority to do anything. He had any authority to do that. Okay? So that was me. That was my call. I made that call because of my fighter, not him. That's what Mark Tibbs is saying. Okay? But you guys are basically saying the same thing. It doesn't matter who stopped it, right? It's just Ben's taking ownership for it, but then trying to give Billy Joe a pass. But Mark Tibbs is like, no, he's not getting a pass because you didn't have that authority to say what he said. You know, he wanted that to keep private. So maybe he's trying to cover up what Ben Davidson leaked out. Maybe he's trying to do that. I don't know. You know, but one thing you rest assured is the important thing about Mark Tibbs is that the private talk is always going to be what's supposed to have been said to the public so we can get a better idea of what actually happened. Okay. And see what let the cat out of the bag, okay, to seal all this up is what he said. He said, Billy Joe, other fighters have done the same thing that Billy Joe did. Okay, so obviously Billy Joe told this man, yo, I can't go out there. Ben Davidson kind of softened him up. He didn't get the response he needed out of Mark Tibbs. And basically the response was, yo, I can't do it. I can't see. Because he can't see, he can't fight. He can't fight, he can't go on. The fight's over. That's what, if you remember the very end of it. Hey, other fighters have did what you've done, right? So don't feel bad about what you're doing. And what he did, he quit because he couldn't see. You know, so based on what happened after that, that's the surgery and, you know, the broken bone and all that stuff. Yeah, his eye didn't look right. It didn't. But at the end of the day, these guys are fighting over who said what. While Mark Tibbs and MTK Global or whoever, higher power, took all of his interviews off because they didn't like how he explained Billy Joe. So they're trying to protect the integrity of Billy Joe cheating or not. But when you stop and you say something that gets erased off a public record, not really, because this is the internet. So it didn't really. But I feel that Mark Tibbs, you know, is basically saying Billy Joe didn't want to continue, so he stopped the fight. And if you really look at it, it didn't have anything to do with the eye per se. He was looking at the eye, but the response that he needed, I think, dictated how he decided to let the fight go on or what. You guys see the difference? He said, I didn't get the response I needed. That conveys that Billy Joe said, hey, I can't do this. I can't see. Well, hey, we're going to stop it. And then Ben Davidson and those two got together, which Mark Tibbs didn't want his help. That's why he's aggravated. That's all it is. Okay, he didn't ask for the help from Ben Davidson, you know, but initially he was talking to his fighter, and it was up to him and his fighter to make the decision. Like, he's there to protect his fighter. That's his job. He's there to protect his fighter. So, hey, he stopped it, but he did not get the response that he needed from Billy Joe. So stop saying it was about the eye. Stop saying it was because it was broken. They didn't know it was broken. Okay? They didn't know it was broken yet. That fight was stopped before any of those guys came over there, the doctors, and that's a fact. So we got to stop saying, oh, well, because of the eye, because of the eye. Yeah, we seen that after the fact. Hindsight is always 2020. But at the end, but when that was happening, they did not stop it because of that eye. They stopped it because Billy Joe wasn't giving him, Mark Tibbs, the response that he needed. That's why they wiped that out, and they didn't like what he said about Billy Joe, because that conveys Billy Joe quit, and he quit. Okay? But was it a good reason that he quit? Yeah, I think so. If his eye was messed up like that, if he had that type of damage, yes. But it doesn't change the fact that he quit because he did not get the response that he needed from Billy Joe. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Mark Tibbs lashing out at Ben Davidson, breaking silence once again. Tell me what you think. Please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunched. Peace.